So, welcome. Thanks everybody for showing up on Saturday here. This is Speaking to a City of Amazon Echoes. I'm Karl Fosaaen. Intro kind of covered all of this, but I'm a managing consultant over at NetSPI. We've got a table over there. I don't think anybody's over at the moment, but if anybody wants to talk to me after this, I'll be over there. We've got a bunch of swag and stuff, but over at NetSPI, I do a number of different things, wear a lot of different hats, but over the last 6 years that I've worked there, I've done a variety of network and app pen testing, a little bit of mobile stuff. We're going to see a little bit of mobile kind of web stuff here today. And done password cracking, social engineering. Like I said, wear a number of different hats, do a lot of different things. So you can find me on Twitter with @KFosaaen. These slides will be posted to SlideShare. So if anybody wants to snap a photo of that, it's just my first initial last name for SlideShare. You can find me on the NetSPI blog. This will hopefully be published as a blog within the next couple of weeks here. There's still some approval process with Amazon for publicly talking about some of this stuff. I finally got approval to actually do this talk. I think it was Monday of last week. So this is kind of bleeding edge for approval stuff. But hopefully that'll be up as a blog within the next couple of weeks here. And any code that I've written typically ends up in the NetSPI GitHub repository. So, quick show of hands here. Anybody have an Echo device at home? Or an Amazon Alexa enabled type device? I've got a couple myself. I've got the Echo Dot. There's the Tap, the Show. To be honest, I don't know all of the different names. They've got a ton of new products within the last even couple of months here. But these are just really handy devices for voice control kind of stuff. For those that haven't used them or used any of the Alexa enabled services, we can talk about what they can do. But last count that I saw, there's over 11 million devices that have been sold. So chances are there's a fair number of devices that are in this audience or owned by people in this audience. But I don't work for Amazon. I just kind of like their products. So what can they do? As I said, the primary kind of thing is voice control. That was moving. Apparently that's on wheels. Primary thing is voice control. So Alexa, do this thing. I don't know, with the Echo Dot that we've got at home, I say, Alexa, news, and I get a nice news briefing while I'm making coffee in the morning. Or Alexa, turn on the kitchen lights. Really kind of handy. Voice control, home automation, I don't know, playing music from Pandora, anything like that. Very similar to any other type of solutions like the Google Home device. The Alexa and Echo devices do a lot of the same stuff. But one of the newer features within the last year is the ability to contact other people. So this can be text messages that you can send from the Alexa app, audio messages that you can record from the app and send from device to device. I think you can record them, like send a voice memo to somebody from Echo to Echo. And recently, phone calling. Within the last month here, they actually introduced calls directly to landlines or cell phones. So you actually do like actual SIP trunking to actually make actual phone calls, which is kind of cool. Haven't actually got to dive into that yet. Been a little too busy to actually start pulling that apart. And also pretty recently, video chat. So you can see one of the Echo devices here with a screen. You can do video chatting with that. They have built-in cameras. Privacy concerns aside, all that, they are kind of interesting devices and fun to play around with. So what we're going to focus on today is primarily the text and audio message side of things. Primarily what protocols, APIs are used to do both of those and the interesting things that we can do around that. So first things first, we need people to contact. One of the things that you do when you set up the Echo devices within the Amazon app on your phone is you can actually choose to give Amazon permissions to your contacts and you upload a list of your contacts from your phone. This is done with a pretty simple JSON format that we'll look at in a moment, but basically you upload the phone numbers and the names of your contacts up to Amazon and they go ahead and find the other people that you can talk to. We'll go through that whole process in just a moment here, but really for each of these requests that we're going to look at in the next few minutes here, I was using Burp or Burp Suite Professional as an intercepting proxy. So what that means is I ran this Burp Suite Professional on my laptop, hooked up to the same wireless network as my phone, pointed my phone at that proxy in the configuration settings, installed the SSL certificate, and that allows me to intercept the communications that go out to Amazon services. So when we want to send a text message, we intercept that with Burp first, take a look at it. You'll actually see some of these requests. And then we go ahead and forward that on to Amazon to do the things that we want to do. This is a pretty standard tool for web app or mobile testing. If anybody's done any mobile or web app testing, you've probably used Burp or another intercepting proxy. If you haven't utilized Burp or other intercepting proxies before, they have a free version. I highly recommend everybody here goes ahead and gives it a try. Installing the Burp certificate on your phone is pretty easy to do. There's instructions on PortSwigger's website. It's the company that makes Burp. But yeah, just as a general like auditing of what your applications are doing on your phone, you'd be really surprised as to what applications are calling out to the internet for. The little fun games that you're playing on your phone, you'd be surprised at how many other like ad and content networks these simple games go out to the internet to serve up your personal information out to. So as just kind of a recommendation for everybody, give it a try, point your phone at it, see what kind of traffic is going through that proxy. You might end up finding some interesting stuff like this. So this is what the request looks like for uploading your contacts. And this is going to be a bit of an eye chart, especially for people that are a little further off screen here. But what we can see is that I've blocked out some pertinent information regarding my account identifier. Amazon uses these long GUIDs to identify your account and other people's accounts. So in this case, making a simple API request to put a JSON list of contact ID numbers and telephone numbers with first name, last name. In this case, we're putting test and then whatever the last 4 digits of the phone number is. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. But basically a simple API request to put out a list of your contacts with first name, last name out to Amazon so they can go ahead and look up these phone numbers to identify who's got an Echo device and who you can talk to. So on the app side, it's going to look like this. So I've uploaded a list of contact information from my phone. These are a bunch of people that I know that all have Echo devices. They're going to show up as contacts that I can reach out to within the application. So once we've got contacts that we can reach out to and send messages to, we can go ahead and send text messages. It's a pretty simple process. You click your contact and say, hey, I want to send a text message. You go ahead and send it. This will show up on their Echo device with a nice green glowing ring. Might be a little confusing the first time you get one of these messages. Same thing for any notifications, like if you have shipping notifications set up for your Echo device, it will go ahead and glow green. It's a little confusing at sometimes. My hope was that the text-to-speech message readout that it does when you say, Alexa, play my messages or tell me my messages, I just kind of hoped that that would be automatic. It doesn't automatically just start yelling stuff out to you. This is one of my coworkers, Eric, who I was hoping would just get the message and just start yelling at him. He was a little confused by this. So it started blinking, so I unplugged it. So not everybody's used to getting messages on their Echo devices. Let's see here. All right, so that request is going to look something like this. I apologize for anybody that's further off to the side here, but basically what we're looking at is the account that I'm sending from. It's that GUID again. The account I'm sending to, which I've blanked out purposefully for my own privacy. Not that I don't want to speak with anybody here, but I don't necessarily want to get Echo device notifications spammed out to me necessarily. So anyways, that's just going to look like this simple JSON message here. Payload, hey, this is Karl. I'm testing some Amazon stuff. I promise I won't spam you over this. And then a timestamp and notification that it's a text message. Really simple. It's going to look like this in the application, and then you get that nice green glowing light on your Echo or Echo Dot, whatever. And yeah, so this is a message I sent out to another coworker, Alex, and that's basically what it's going to look like in the app. So sending audio messages. This is kind of fun in a number of different ways, but basically you can record short audio clips to send back and forth between Echo devices. So, hey, it's Karl, just saying hi, I wanted to send you a message, something like that. You can record that in the app and then go ahead and send it to the APIs, and that gets sent out to another Echo device. Well, there's message transcription available for this, so you can just have it transcribed and it'll show up in the actual app so that you don't actually have to play it, which is kind of handy. But we can also do custom audio messages if we're able to intercept these requests. So that's the more fun part about this. So that request is going to look like this. We did include true for include transcript here, so that'll put it through the transcribing service so that you get text message listing there. We can put false if we want to hide what the content of that message is going to be, so it just plays the audio file. But what you can see here is the content type in this HTTP request here is audio AAC. And you can see here in kind of the file header information here, M4A audio. So this is basically just recording an M4A audio track and sending that file up to Amazon to upload to their cloud of stuff. So once we have that audio file up in Amazon's cloud, we basically get a media ID, and I'm leaving this one purposefully open here. If somebody really wants to go ahead and type that out and see if they can access it, let me know. You'll find out what that is in the next message. But much like the text message, we have our sender ID and the recipient ID, and I've removed some other information in here as well. But really, you just upload your audio file, and this you can actually overwrite. You can just go ahead with Burp, select over all of this file information here, and then paste from file, and you can go ahead and paste your own M4A file. So that's what we've done here. You could put whatever audio recording you want, and that can be kind of fun. So basically, once we have that uploaded, we send the link for that uploaded file within the message to a recipient. They get an audio message. Again, it does not automatically play, but it does show up in the application. It will show up with the green glowing ring on the echo. So this one was kind of fun and totally mature of me and my coworker here. But yeah, I sent Alex a message saying I'm going to send you some messages about this. So he responded, no problem, let it rip. So the mature response here is to send a fart noise. So went out and found M4A audio for that, sent that to him, and he responded with, I hope that was real. So thanks to Alex for accepting all of these messages, dealing with me. So what can we do with this? We understand how the text messages are sent, how the audio messages are sent, and how we can enumerate contacts. Now, legitimately, sure, you could upload all of your regular contacts, people that you actually know, and try to figure out who has an Echo device. Well, we could also try and make some new friends out around Portland. There's two different primary area codes for Portland, 503 and 971. The exchanges are the XXX part of those phone numbers. So you've got your area code, you've got an exchange, and then you've got the 4 digits for a phone number. Between the two area codes, 503 and 971, you have 800 exchanges per area code. So that equals 1,600 exchanges, meaning 503, 323, whatever. 1,600 total exchanges between both of those area codes. So that makes up for a lot of potential phone numbers, 16 million potential numbers to be exact. You've got 10,000 numbers per exchange because they're 4 digits, 0000 all the way through 9999. We've got 10,000 options there. So how do we go about trying to go through all 16 million of those numbers? Well, we could use Google Contacts. We did look at that previous JSON upload, everything in that, and I don't know if I have.
Is there a max number you can put in?
Yeah, so actually with Google Contacts, they limit you at 25,000 contacts per account. I actually have a source on that if anybody wants to see that. But when we looked at that previous response or that previous request here for uploading contacts, it's all serialized, so everything's tagged. And what you can see here, and again, apologize for that side of the room, or it's a little bit harder to see, you have a device contact ID. So the top one we can see here is 25828. That may or may not mean that I've uploaded 25,827 contacts prior to that. But anyways, as I said, it's serialized so that you've got that device contact ID that gets sent there, you've got your phone number, and you kind of iterate through that. You could automate all of this through Burp with the intruder functionality, It's a really handy way of just iterating through a bunch of different numbers. Since there were a couple of different spots that we had to iterate through, I figured it would just be easier to go ahead and just upload contacts through Google. So I'll walk you through that. Okay, so within Google, as I mentioned, you're limited to 25,000 contacts per account. What I did, and I actually did this for a different area code, but here's a good example. For 503, basically just created a contact spreadsheet of Google contacts to import. There's 503, 235, and then all 4 zeros. And using some Excel spreadsheet magic with a CSV, just iterated all the way down to 9999 and filled out the rest of those numbers. So per contact upload, you could do 25,000 at a time. You could cover 2.5 exchanges per upload of contacts, which would mean you'd need about 640 rounds of uploading your contacts up to Amazon with this method. You could probably just automate that to, I don't know exactly how many they cap on the actual JSON format, but anyways, you could probably speed that up a little bit if you used Intruder. Question?
Quick question. You checked if you can set up the maximum contacts, delete them, and implement them again?
Yep, so the question was, could you set up a bunch of contacts, upload them, delete them, and then upload 25,000 more? Yes. So that's actually the process that I ended up doing with some of this, was uploaded an entire exchange and then basically deleted those Google contacts from my phone, signed out of the application. If you sign back into the application, it will prompt you again to upload your contacts, and then you can go ahead and re-upload. So yeah, like I said, 640 rounds to cover all 16 million numbers in the Portland area for those 2 exchanges. Now, granted, there's a fair number of people that have moved in from out of state that may not have either one of those exchanges or either one of those area codes. Myself, I actually have a 612 number. I moved from Minneapolis a couple years ago and didn't want to change phone numbers. So kind of guilty of that myself. But this actually generates a ton of requests to Amazon, right? We're trying to look up 16 million numbers within the Echo infrastructure. They're going to notice. They have detective controls in place to identify, hey, there's potential that somebody's trying to enumerate all of these different phone numbers. So for proof of concept, as I was identifying this, and this whole discussion actually kind of came out of a RainSec discussion. I don't know who's familiar with RainSec here, local security group meetup. I frequent that pretty regularly, so you can typically find me there. But we were talking about what we could potentially do with this, and talked about uploading contacts. And the next day, went back home and tried this with my 612 range. Basically, in the Google contacts import here, we just have a first name of test, a last name of test, and then whatever the last 4 digits are of that phone number that I'm uploading. So 612, 123, all zeros. That way I could tie it back to what the actual phone number was, because it's kind of hard to pull that out of the app. And then uploaded those to Google. So within my 612 range, which is a cell phone range for kind of northern Minneapolis, I was able to find 65 different devices in that one kind of scan of that specific range. So there's definitely potential to enumerate a number of different Echo devices there. Let's see here. Oh, one note on this. If you were to do this, and I would recommend against that, this will actually significantly slow down your Echo devices. If you upload 25,000 contacts to Amazon, your Echo device actually thinks you have 25,000 contacts. So I only had like 15 actual contacts in here before, added another 65, so we're looking at 75 real contacts. But my Echo thought that I had 25,000 phone numbers it had to keep track of. This basically slowed my Echo devices down to a crawl. You would say, Alexa, get me the news. And then 5 seconds later, it would finally bring me the news. So just more of a heads up, if you have a ton of contacts on there, it can really slow down the device. It also annoys other people in your household that may be utilizing the Echo devices to say turn on lights or anything like that. Yeah. So at this point, we have roughly a city's worth of Echo devices, knowledge of the messaging protocols, text and audio message, and a moral obligation to do the right thing. I won't ask anybody to raise hands, but there may be other CISSPs in the room. But I've worked with some people in the past who are very strict with adhering to the ISC squared code of ethics. I try to myself, but yeah, I do have a moral obligation to do so. So I worked with Amazon to disclose all of this information. I initially disclosed this back in June. They implemented a couple of the features in line. The call blocking feature, which we'll talk about in mitigations in a second, didn't actually have anything to do with me, but they implemented that pretty soon after that. And then I finally got approval to do this, all of 11 days ago, something like that. So they've been a great team to work with, just for the record. The people that I've worked with over at Amazon for disclosing this have been really cool about that. Kind of a note on that, there is some additional stuff that they're still kind of working on that I can't necessarily talk about in this talk. So I apologize about that, but hopefully that'll come out in the blog post in the future here. So just a couple of notes on mitigations for this. I can leave it up to you to kind of figure out what you could potentially do with all of this information we've talked about. I'm not going to tell you exactly all the bad things you could potentially do with all of this, but I think people can kind of put 2 and 2 together here. Anyways, Amazon already has detective controls in place to identify people that are trying to enumerate numbers through specific exchanges. Additionally, you can block messages and calls from unwanted senders. This actually came out of a completely different scenario. So we showed you, all right, you upload a phone number, it matches it to an Echo device. Amazon gives you the ability to reach out to that Echo device and make phone calls. Well, let's say that you have somebody in your life that you don't want to speak to, but they happen to have your phone number. They could potentially upload your phone number, look up your Echo device, and contact you through that. So initially, they didn't actually have options to block numbers. Amazon actually implemented that mid-June. So it's definitely a very good thing because either unwanted messages from somebody you don't know or from somebody you do know, you can definitely block those through the Alexa app. One of the things they are currently working on is enabling cert pinning for all of the API calls. So pretty much everything we showed you intercepting with Burp, all of those API requests, everything like that, they did not have cert pinning required. So basically requiring a specific SSL certificate to allow communication between the application and Amazon. There are some bypasses for that, but it would be at least a barrier to entry to actually get to those API calls and reverse all of that. So that's something they're currently working on. One other thing that was kind of a recommendation on my side was limiting the recipients of an audio message. So that wonderfully mature fart message that we sent out to Alex earlier in the presentation here, that could actually be potentially sent out to other recipients because it's just a file blob that you're sending a link to within the messaging APIs. So you could potentially reuse that to send to another recipient. So this would kind of require people to re-upload audio files as part of that, kind of slow people down. So quick thanks. Thanks for everybody at RainStack that I kind of talked through the initial ideas of this with. Gave me some really good ideas as to what direction to take this. Thanks to everybody here at BSidesPDX for having me speak here and for showing up today. Specifically my NetSPI coworkers, Eric, Alex, and Chris, who all had Echo devices and put up with a ton of messages from me. We also kind of fuzzed on other stuff like cross-site scripting or other types of links and other things that we could send through the actual APIs, and they dealt with a ton of messages from me on that side. So thanks to them. Tom and Carrie over at Amazon Security for working with me through the disclosure process. They've been really, really helpful and worked with me to get approval for all of this, went over slides and everything, and been very, very helpful there. And thanks to my wife for dealing with the incredibly slow Echo devices for a couple of weeks while I was doing this. I think she was a little upset when she tried to turn on the kitchen lights and it takes 5 seconds and you're just standing in the dark waiting for the kitchen lights to turn on and you're like, oh, I'll just hit the switch. So thanks to her. I think I've got a couple minutes left here. Does anybody have any questions?